Today we're talking all about marathon training plans. Now, training for a marathon is obviously a huge task. The good news is that so many runners have been through the marathon training process before, there are now some well-established marathon training principles we can follow. Now, you'll always get some runners who embark on marathon training without much of a plan, and most of them tend to get through their training, then their race, to some level of success. But if you follow an appropriate marathon training plan, you're giving your training structure and purpose, which is going to help you get through the training phase without injury or getting burned out or overwhelmed and performing better on race day. In this video, we're going to look at the key principles of a good marathon training plan, including the duration of the plan, how to structure your training weeks, the different types of run workouts to do, strength training and mobility work, rest days, increasing your mileage, and the all-important marathon taper. I'm going to be using one of my beginner marathon training plans, the 20-week one, to illustrate some of the points we'll be covering. And if you're interested, I've got a bunch of different marathon training plans designed around different ability levels and running goals, which are free to download and customize, linked below. So whether you're a complete beginner or you're an experienced runner aiming for a sub 3-hour marathon, there's a plan for you. I've made all my plans available in both miles and kilometers, and you'll receive both PDF and Google Sheets versions, which you can then download and mess around with in Excel if you want. They're all free to access, so check out the links below. Likewise, if you're new to my videos, feel free to hit the subscribe button and tap the bell icon. That way, you not only support the channel, but you'll also get a heads up whenever I upload a new video. Otherwise, let's get into marathon training plans. A well-designed plan is your roadmap from where you are right now, all the way through your marathon training journey to the start line of your marathon. So we're going to get into getting things like mileage increases and training intensity right is key to a successful marathon training journey. A good plan helps you navigate these challenges while avoiding injury. For me though, a good training plan is a little bit more than that. When I'm following a good training plan, it basically feels like I've outsourced all the decision making and motivation around my training. I don't have to wake up every morning and wonder if I'm going to work out, how far I'm going to run, whether or not I should run. I just stick to the plan. And over time, this approach means you make real structured gains as opposed to running random miles. Before we start deconstructing marathon training plans, it's important to note that there's no one generic plan that's perfectly suited for every runner. Obviously, every runner is going to start their marathon training at a different ability level, as well as having different marathon goals and perhaps different timescales for getting ready. This is one of the reasons why I make all my plans customizable. If you're a bit lost when trying to pick a marathon training plan, my advice is to try out the first week. If the workouts in the first week of the plan are a significant challenge for you, you might be biting off more than you can chew, so check out an easier plan. Every runner's life is different too. We've all got different family, work, and personal commitments, whether it's weekly catch-ups with friends or a gym class you don't want to miss out on. For this reason, it's worth moving around the training days on your training plan to suit you. Finally, just like in life, in marathon training, there's a good chance something's going to go wrong at some point. Whether it's an injury flare-up, illness, or simply exhaustion and the need to spend a few days recuperating, it's important to keep in mind that your marathon training plan should be flexible around you and not the other way around. A good marathon training plan should be robust enough that taking a few days off isn't going to completely derail your marathon training journey. So bear in mind while you're browsing through the marathon training plans that they're a sort of best effort guide as opposed to cast in stone. Each marathon training plan consists of either 2 or 3 different types of running workout. The most common type of run workout is the regular training run. These are usually between 3 and 7 miles in length, and you'll usually do 2 to 3 of them every week. Regular training runs are all about dialing in your running fitness, building your weekly mileage base, and working on your running economy. If you're a beginner or novice marathon runner, don't worry too much about the pace of these runs. Do them at a comfortable conversational pace. Intermediate or advanced runners will want to run their regular training runs either close to or at their target race pace. In some of my plans, you'll see a specific race pace run. If you don't have a specific race pace, just do these runs at your regular training run pace. Regular training runs are the foundational base of a good marathon training plan. However, no one run is essential. So if you need to skip a run or move things around, these are usually the first type of run I'd recommend you sacrifice. Long runs are a staple of marathon training and are all about building our endurance, basically increasing your maximum single run mileage. You should do one long run each week and they should gradually increase in length, topping out somewhere around the 20 to 22 mile mark. It's important that you run your long runs at a slow, relaxed pace. Try and sit at a comfortable 2 to 3 out of 10 in terms of effort. Guys, for more information on long runs, I've got a full video on long runs. I'll link to it below. The third potential type of run workout is speed work. Now, I only recommend speed work to intermediate or advanced runners who are chasing a specific marathon time goal, such as running a sub 4 hour marathon or a sub 3 hour 30 marathon. Speed work is usually some form of interval training, that is running for fast, short bursts followed by recovery periods. There are a variety of different speed work training methodologies you can use, whether it's intervals on a track, hill running, fartleks, or whatever. For marathon training plans, I usually advocate track style intervals as these are least likely to lead to injury. Guys, if you check out the training plan, you'll see the details of the number of intervals to perform and the length of them and the speed. Most runners who implement speed work should limit themselves to one speed work session per week. Otherwise, the load on the body is getting fairly heavy, especially when considered as part of an intense marathon training plan. Guys, for my money, some form of strength training and mobility work is a core part of marathon training. It's going to reduce your risk of injury and improve your performance immeasurably on race day. It's why I'm always a little bit disappointed when I see other marathon training plans online that don't even mention it. I recommend 1 or 2 dedicated strength training sessions per week, preferably focused on the lower body and core muscle groups. You don't have to be lifting heavy weights in these sessions, even bodyweight exercises and things like yoga count. I also recommend that runners do a few dynamic stretches and mobility exercises around 2 to 3 times each week. These can be short, informal sessions that you squeeze in when you've got a spare minute during the day. For example, some evenings we'll be sitting watching Netflix and I'll just run through a quick hip mobility routine that I know on the floor while watching TV. Little practices like this help target weak areas and keep potential injuries at bay. The final element of a marathon training plan is rest days. You typically want 2 rest days per week. Rest days are super important for your overall training, letting your body recuperate and recover. It's usually wise to take a rest day after the hardest workouts, such as the long run. You also probably want to space those rest days well apart to help break up the week. While rest days are easy to overlook, I encourage you to take them seriously and plan restful activities. Doing activities like spending time in nature or with family or cooking or in the garden, whatever it is that chills you out, these actually move our brains from a sympathetic or fight or flight mode to parasympathetic or rest and recover mode. Basically, when your brain recognizes it's in a relaxing environment, it signals to the rest of your body to relax your muscles, slow your heart rate, and focus on recovery. When we're stressed, we're usually in that fight or flight mode. So don't feel guilty about spending rest days on the sofa watching Netflix. Okay, so now we've got all the elements of your marathon training plan. It's time to put them into action. And I thought the best way to do this is basically show you one of my training plans. All my training plans, as I mentioned, they're free. You get them sent in PDF, but you can also choose to customize them. So if you want to customize them, guys, you get the link to Google Sheets where you make a copy so you can edit your copy, or you can go to File, Download, Microsoft Excel, then you get an offline Excel format copy that you can move around. So for example, if you want to change long runs from Sunday to Saturday, it's just a copy and paste thing. It's a spreadsheet because I love spreadsheets. You know, it's a simple tool, but everybody knows how to use them and it's super flexible. So it works for everybody's benefit to keep these things simple sometimes. Okay, so in terms of populating your training plan, I would say the first question you want to ask yourself for any training plan is what day do you want to do your long run? Because that kind of sets a stake in the ground to build the rest of the plan around. So long runs, most people do them at the weekends because they can take a few hours. So those are the days people typically are able to do that kind of run. Also bear in mind that you do your long run one day and then the next day should be a rest day. So you can see in the 20-week marathon training plan, guys, by the way, the 20-week marathon training plan is designed for first-time marathon runners. Maybe you've done a few 10Ks, a couple of half marathons, but you've never actually tried a marathon, then this is a good plan for you. 20 weeks is about the right interval you need to train sufficiently to build up that mileage, right? Okay, so This plan assumes Sunday long runs. You can move it to Saturday if you like. But basically, that's your stake in the ground Sunday, which means Monday is going to be a rest day. So that leaves 5 more days of the week in which we want to fit 3 training runs, a strength training day, and another rest day. And this plan is structured around having the 4 workouts in consecutive days. So you can see Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday are all workout days. So you've got 2 consecutive training run days, then a cross training day, then another training run followed by a rest day on Saturday. This suits a lot of people. This is a pretty common structure. Basically means that throughout the week you get the majority of your workouts in before or after work. Then Saturday you can have a bit of a rest day with family or whatever, and Sunday's your long run. But maybe this doesn't work for you. Maybe you want to make one of these days your rest day and move one of these workouts to Saturday. Not a big deal. I would probably just say don't do anything too intense on the day before your long run. Otherwise, you can kind of shuffle this plan around. Basically, you just want to make sure, just like with anything in life, if you've got a period of intensity, you want to follow it with recovery. One of the reasons I like this structure is it also lends itself to taking a day off if need be. So if you're following this training plan and you get, let's say, week 5, and you're feeling like you're starting to feel nagging injury or slight burnout, just inability to recover completely, then feel free to just knock off one of these midweek sessions. Preferably keep your cross training and knock off one of the training runs. So maybe you could do training run, cross training, rest day, training run. Just add in an extra rest day there, or juggle things around. But that's one of the benefits of a plan like this. Although there are 4 training days in a row, if things are getting too much for you, just knock one of those off. Don't be too afraid to knock one of those off. Okay, mileage increases are the next thing I want to talk about. So one important feature of a good marathon training plan is that it increases your weekly mileage in a structured way. That is, gradually increasing without any big jumps, and the occasional step back week where there's no actual increase in mileage at all. Let's look at this in a little more detail. So if we look at the training runs, guys, you can see generally of a week, the training runs tend to be pretty much the same length, but every few weeks, the training runs increase by just a mile, right? That mile increment is small enough that you're not really gonna notice it in your training runs, because over time you're gonna adapt, you're gonna get more used to these runs. But what it does mean is that over time, your weekly mileage base is gonna increase a lot. So if you look at week 2, you're running 9 miles and then 8 miles, so 17 miles in total. If we go to week 16, which is actually the highest week, you're gonna be running 15, 22, 42 miles. So you've more than doubled it, and a lot of that just comes through this incremental increases in those training runs. So that's one side of mileage increases. The other side of mileage increases is in your long runs, which you'll see almost every week increase. So week 1, we've got 7 miles, week 2, we've got 8 miles, week 3, we've got 9 miles, but then you can see week 4, we go back to 6 miles. This is called a step back week. Step back weeks are weeks in which your overall mileage and your long run mileage plateau or even regress a little bit. The whole idea with a step back week is every 3 or 4 weeks you want to have a step back week. It basically gives your body a mini break from that constant pushing and constant increasing to consolidate the gains it's made in the prior phase. So in this step back week, you're just giving your body a tiny break. Instead of pushing it again, you're letting it consolidate the gains it's made in the prior weeks. So that's the whole idea behind step back weeks. Any good marathon training plan includes step back weeks. So long runs, as you can see, generally increase 11, 12, 9 step a week, 15, 16, half marathon, which you can choose to run at race pace if you want. And then we go all the way until week 16, which is the longest long run. So your longest long run is usually between 20 and 22 miles, depending on the training plan you're going to be following. This training plan, it peaks at 20 miles, and it peaks on this training plan 4 weeks before the race day. And this is when the marathon taper begins. The marathon taper is the final few weeks before your marathon when we gradually decrease our volume of training. And the taper can vary in length between 2 and 4 weeks usually. So let me just highlight these 4 cells. These final 4 weeks are the taper of the 20-week marathon plan. The marathon taper is all about locking in those gains you've made during marathon training. By winding down your training somewhat, you're giving your body the opportunity to heal, recuperate, and fuel up so it's able to perform properly on race day. The taper length does depend on your running background. 4 weeks is common for first-time marathon runners, while more experienced distance runners need less time. You'll notice that the taper involves decreasing the volume or mileage of your runs, but not the intensity. So guys, whatever intensity you've been running up to taper time, you want to keep that same intensity when you're running your taper. All you're going to notice is that you're running shorter runs, okay? Exception to this is on the final week before your marathon, when you can keep these runs at a low intensity. The whole idea of these training runs is just to keep your legs ticking over before race day. So don't worry about intensity. These are just short, easy runs on that final week. Guys, that's basically it for the marathon training plan. As I mentioned at the start of this video, I've got a library of different marathon training plans designed around different ability levels and running goals, which are free to download and customize, linked below. So whether you're training for your first marathon or you're aiming for a sub 4-hour marathon, I've got a plan for you. I've made all my plans available in both miles and kilometers, and you'll receive both PDF and Google Sheets versions, which you can download and then use in Microsoft Excel or whatever you use. They're all free to access, so check out the links below. My recommendation is you find the plan that suits you, customize it if needs be, and then print out a paper copy. You want to put this paper copy somewhere prominent, either next to your desk, on the fridge in your kitchen, or on your bathroom mirror. Then what you can do is every day just mark off each workout as you complete it. This way you're forming a habit and are more likely to follow through with the plan. That's it for marathon training plans, guys. Check out my plans in the link below, and feel free to check out the website marathonhandbook.com. We've got oodles more material on everything to do with marathon training. I've also got the Marathon Training Masterclass, which is actually over 6 hours of in-depth video content, which I'll link to below. If you've enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.